Yo. Look, we got Trap Lil Russ back on the video. So this might be 5 parts, maybe 4 parts. We'll see. Maybe 6 parts, you know what I'm saying? But man, we got this rapping here, man, claim 11 bodies, Bloodhound, Lil Jeff. Let's get into it. This part one probably like 20 minutes, probably like 25 minutes. So let's go.
But interestingly, unlike Von, who was seemingly in the streets since a child, Jeff would wildly claim that he had only gotten involved in the streets about 3 years ago when he turned 18 and graduated from high school, committing all of these alleged murders in a very short time span.
So around what age did you jump off the porch and start hanging out in the streets?
I'm gonna say when I came outside for real, I was like 18 type shit.
Okay.
I just turned like 18.
So, turned 18, graduated, and going into the streets. Damn, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Jeff also became known for his equally wild antics that showed he was a complete loose cannon. For example, when he famously snorted crushed up pills during his DJU interview. Then there was the time he seemingly shot his gun towards someone during an Instagram live, as well as openly bragging about how he was robbing people for their designer watches.
Hey, look, Jeff. You said take this picture. I was about to oh, weeds. I got blood on them diamonds and I still wore it. It's like it's what I was tattoo. They don't know if that's a tattoo or real. Nah, they ain't no.
To compare Lil Jeff to King Von is guaranteed to anger some people, and by no means was Jeff's star power or rapping abilities anywhere near that of Von's. But then again, Von also had support from the biggest artist to ever rise from the drill scene, Lil Durk, and he was several years older than Jeff when his rap career took off. Furthermore, Von had already been in the streets for close to a decade, forming the reputation that would eventually help him to become the boogeyman of Chicago drill that he ended up being, as well as being an undeniable legend in the rap game following his untimely death in November 2020. Jeff, on the other hand, was still by all accounts very much still in the streets whilst he was trying to find his voice and talent on the mic. While Jeff's rapping style was controversial and divisive amongst fans of Chicago drill, there's no denying that Lil Jeff was evolving musically and becoming more and more comfortable in using his rather unique high-pitched voice that kind of made him sound like the real-life Joker of Chirac. Unfortunately, we'll never know what might have come from his music career because, as most drill fans know by now, on the 8th of June 2024, Lil Jeff was gunned down in the south side of Chicago, only about a half-a-mile walk from the notorious Parkway Gardens public housing complex, aka O Block, that King Von was known to rep. And as always seems to be guaranteed these days, Lil Jeff's demise and the shootout that led up to it was all captured on surveillance footage, even going viral within the drill community just after it happened. But it was not just the fact that Lil Jeff was killed that made his story blow up beyond the drill audience, but more so how he died. As when that surveillance video leaked soon after the news of his passing, the world saw a masked up Lil Jeff getting shot down as he was literally trying to chase another man into his house whilst wildly shooting in his direction, something that he'd even claimed to have done before in several songs. After Lil Jeff's death, the media attention around him would blow up, with even more mainstream rap media platforms like No Jumper, who had previously not reported on him, including him in their content several times. Meanwhile, the twisted online detectives of the Chiracology subreddit were going into overdrive, and in the days following Jeff's death, dozens and dozens of new threads and comments from his fans and haters would fill the platform, with the most devoted Lil Jeff-ologists eventually even starting their very own subreddit to exclusively discuss and declare their devotion.
Y'all know what's so crazy in this world, y'all, is that people online, they're like, I don't know how Reddit, they be knowing everything on Reddit. Reddit people be knowing everything, y'all. Like Nappy Squad, Reddit people be knowing everything. I don't know how, but they do. And it's like, it's crazy. I'm not gonna cap. It is.
Their new king of drill. There were almost comical posts where Lil Jeff-ologists shared their grief, explaining how they were having sleepless nights and depression in the 24 hours following Jeff's death. These twisted posts would explain how the loss of their new favorite demonic rapper had been a personal blow, and how despite the alleged 11 murders to his name, they felt a personal connection to this flawed individual, and how his killer aura had resonated with so many. Soon would come updates, as fans posted saying that it had been 1 week since Jeff's death, and the devastation hadn't gotten easier, with this user explaining that he wants to drill himself so he can be with Lord Jeff, and asking other users if they have tips on how to grieve. Another update landed on day 12 as the user explained that he'd been saying Jeff's name in the mirror to try and bring him back, and explaining how he can still feel Jeff's presence around him and that he's been seeing Jeff's reflection flashing wads of money at him in store windows. Now all of this goes to show you the bizarre and twisted level of fandom that Chicago Drill has really reached, with this adoration of Jeff even topping some of the most extreme King Von glazing that's been observed online. Chicago Drill is truly the juncture where internet fandom meets music meets real life true crime, and where the very people actually involved in that life are getting killed by the hundreds every year. And when it comes to this combination of music and true crime, the story of Lil Jeff is surely up there with some of the wildest to come out of the drill scene in recent years. But Lil Jeff's story is still one shrouded in mystery, because while Jeff was certainly no stranger to letting the world know about his reckless escapades in the dangerous streets of Chicago, he was also a fairly new face in the scene who seemingly appeared out of nowhere just a few years ago, which makes his claims to have double-digit bodies under his belt sound particularly outrageous, making many fans of Chicago Drill to quickly reject these claims as obviously false. Moreover, Lil Jeff hails from an area that's previously received only limited coverage in media focused on the drill culture. So in this video, we're trying to give the most in-depth look into the life and the music career of Bloodhound Lil Jeff so far, and try and determine, with all of the information available publicly today, was Bloodhound Lil Jeff really a street demon with 11 murders to his name, or just a wannabe serial killer on social media who effed around and found out?
Residents say they're
Hey, I mean, we don't really know. Who knows? We don't really know. We can't, you know what I'm saying? We don't really know, so we really can't say anything, you know what I'm saying?
fed up with violence like the weekend's mass shooting, and they're taking back the streets. On Saturday, it was a different scene on 75th Street in Chatham, where one person was shot and killed, 9 others wounded.
Outside their school, with homemade signs demanding peace, they gathered.
We gonna rock with it, roll with it.
We're only 17, 18 years old, and we losing our lives at a young age.
Man, we do this shit, man, every day, man. Drill City, we out here, man.
On one of the most violent streets in the city, 79th Street, artist and activist Common lends his support and voice to lift up this Chatham neighborhood.
Yeah, you see them bandanas, that mean we Bloodhound.
So can you tell us, like, who introduced you to the street life?
My brother.
Your older brother, right?
Looking at us, bro. Bloodhound. Yeah.
Fortunately, there are many families who are suffering.
So you would say you've experienced some trauma growing up in these streets of Chicago. Cause how old was you when Chief Keef came out? Like,
I was in 3rd grade.
Bro,
cause they said Bloodhound Lil Jeff got 10 bodies.
I ain't gonna lie, my homie dad, that's on my face, she's right here.
See money?
Yeah.
And how did that affect your mentality, brother?
These, man. All I see is red.
About the type of lifestyle that Von led, everybody consider him the top savage of the rap. Was that something you looked up to?
Yeah, that's him, I'm me.
Hey, y'all, listen to this real quick. Let me know what y'all hear. This smoke with the whole rack. Whoever want it, we giving it out on my dead grave. Summertime finna be a black.
Cause we live in a time right now where, like, a lot of rappers actually live the life they say, whether it's like trapping or anything.
I mean, bro, they're not wrong though. People, oh, there's another trap lord. Like, people do, like, there is some people that rap what they live. King Von, you know what I'm saying? He rap what he lived. You know what I'm saying? He rap what he lived. We gonna turn this right up for y'all. I'm like extra black or something, I don't know. But I mean, bro, they rap like they live. You know what I'm saying?
16-year-old Robert Boston and 17-year-old Monterio Williams were gunned down.
Chicago police investigating a fatal shooting yesterday evening. 19-year-old Jaleel Goins was pronounced dead at Rush University Medical Center.
They make you fuck. Go ask my ops that might go Drake his ass and get out that car. You know that?
So when y'all like in the booth and all that, how do y'all stay away from like even incriminating lyrics?
I went black for like a week. And poof. So after that one, poof. I came back. Poof.
Bloodhound, 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 Bloodhound.
Bloodhound, Bloodhound. YB, Bloodhound, Bloodhound.
Hey man, y'all sit back, relax, get y'all popcorn ready, Get y'all snacks ready. Get y'all drinks ready. Whatever y'all got, man, we're going to sit back, relax, and we're going to watch this Bloodhound Jeff rapper Hitman claim 11 bodies. Part 1, Part 2 will be out on Monday. Let's get it.
Lil Jeff, real name Jeffrey Lamar Harris, was born on the 14th of July 2002, getting named after his father, who shares the exact same name. Jeff's family has seemingly mostly lived around the same area, the east side of Chicago.
Bloodhound Lil Jeff story today. Can you start by telling us where you from?
Chicago, north, east side of Chicago. East side of Chicago.
East side.
Yeah.
However, this east side is not to be confused with the official east side, which is one of the 77 community areas of Chicago located in the far south side of the city. The unofficial east side, on the other hand, which is where Lil Jeff grew up, is mainly part of the Chicago folklore, and thus its exact borders are often heavily debated by locals, with many even arguing that everything in the south side, from State Street all the way to Lake Michigan, actually counts as the east side, which would even include hoods like the infamous O Block and their main rivals STL EBT and Jarrow City. And on the other side of the Washington Park, also hoods like Tay Savage's Welch World. Yet these hoods are typically not discussed as being part of the east side, but rather simply being part of the south side, as in the case of O Block, STL, and Jarrow, or more specifically in the case of Welch World, part of the so-called Low End, another area that's a deep part of Chicago folklore, which roughly covers the area on the south side from the state to the lake north of Washington Park. In the drill culture specifically, the east side has become particularly known for hoods that exist roughly south of 67th Street, with this street and the two huge green spaces, the Jackson Park and Oakwood Cemetery, that border the street, creating a natural boundary in the north. However, there are also sets on the north side of the 67th Street that claim the east side, such as TYMB and Drow City, which both rep the 65th Street. While the line of where the east side ends when going westwards from Lake Michigan is much more ambiguous, with the State Street and the I-94 next to it generally acting as a sort of last cutoff point, in the drill scene, this east side is known particularly for gangs like G Herbo and Lil Bibby's crew NLMB, which is made up of two clicked-up gang sets, No Limit and the Muskegon Boys, with these initials creating the NLMB moniker, which has also been used to stand for Never Leave My Brothers. However, NLMB's hood is located in the South Shore neighborhood, which is located very close to the shores of Lake Michigan, and is infamously known by the locals as Terror Town, a place with a long history for being particularly dangerous. Whereas when it came to Lil Jeff, his family seemed to mostly stay in a much more central area around the Grand Crossing and Chatham community areas, which generally have been much lesser discussed in the drill scene before Lil Jeff's recent blow-up, although the area has seen its fair share of rappers since the early 2010s repping these specific hoods. Now, Lil Jeff's family has long ties to the streets in the area. His father, Jeffrey Harris Sr., allegedly belonged to a street set called 068 C Block, C standing for Champlain Avenue, with their main spot seemingly being on 68th Street and Champlain. To put this location in context, this street corner is only about 0.3 miles from the location where Lil Jeff would eventually lose his life. And while there's not much available about this particular set online, Jeff's father was born in the early 80s, and thus he and his set were likely at their most active around the turn of the millennium and throughout the 2000s. What we do know with some certainty is that Jeff's family were closely connected with the very people that Jeff would later go to war with, including the person alleged by many to have been the one to gun him down, although there's no real...
Bro, do y'all see how you can be close to somebody? See, that's why you gotta watch your surroundings, the people inside your circle, because they be the main ones that know your weakness and stuff that you're good at and strong at, you know what I'm saying? It's an evil world we live in, man. You gotta watch your surroundings, man. Know what I'm saying?
Evidence at the moment to prove who was the actual triggerman. But what can be said with more certainty is that close to the hood of Jeff's father, there would be another large hood that would end up playing a very large role in the street beefs that Jeff would get involved in. This hood was well known in Chicago even back in the 90s and 2000s when Jeff's dad was more active in the streets, and its history likely even goes much further back than that. Their hood was called the Lon City. For example, in the classic 1996 song by Chicago rapper D.A. Smart titled Walk With Me, he lists several Chicago hoods all around the area, with one of the bars referencing Lakeside, Paxtown, and Lon City, as Smart mentions how both Black Disciples and Gangster Disciples run the two latter hoods. But while Lakeside and Paxtown have more or less stayed intact until this day, at least in name, Lon City would eventually break apart, therefore it's not included in the modern gang maps. However, during the late 90s, in the trial against Larry Hoover, the infamous founder and leader of the Gangster Disciples, or GDs, one of the former members of Hoover's GDs, who turned informant, would give a very detailed description about the Lon City's territory at the time. This territory allegedly covering everything from 78th Street to 83rd Street, and all the way from State Street to Stony Island Avenue. This territory being absolutely enormous by modern Chicago gang standards, however their main spots were seemingly on the 79th Street, such as 79th and Evans, which is just a stone's throw away from the 79th in Maryland that Jeff would later begin to claim. One of the highest ranking GDs of the 90s, called Shorty G, real name Gregory Shell, would even allegedly live in Lodge City. Shorty G would also have a prodigy in Lodge City called Lil Frank, real name Frank Smith, who would later rise to the top of the leadership of the original GDs before he was given a life sentence in 2023 for allegedly organizing a killing of another high-ranking GD member as part of a leadership dispute. Due to its large size, Lodge City had likely always had smaller sets working within it, both GD and BD, although the area has seemingly been majority GD. However, coming into the 2010s, Lodge City, like most Chicago hoods, had lost the majority of its original structure due to the collapse of the traditional gang hierarchies during the 2000s, which led to the large gangs like the BDs and GDs to break into small neighborhood sets without any central leadership between them. In Lodge City, these separate sets...
That's how it goes. There's like no leader for them. There's like no leader or like structure. That's why, what's his name? Meech, since he was a structure for his people. That's how it was good, but people talk too much. That's how they got caught. But there has to be structure in order for stuff to work. If there's no structure, nobody's gonna listen. They're gonna do what they want, and then must gonna get caught up. You know what I'm saying?
Also becoming more independent, particularly 6 sets that were known as 8-Tray Mob, Evans Mob, Hit Squad, Mix Mob, Wiz City, and Drill City, the latter of which would eventually become Lil Jeff's set. According to Chiracologists, these individual sets would eventually break Lodge City apart completely due to some of the BD sets backdooring the original GD leaders of Lodge City. In the aftermath of this breakup, what's now known as Mix Mob would seemingly keep repping Lodge City even after the breakup. Meanwhile, Drill City would seemingly get its name around the same time as the Chicago drill movement was starting. Chicago drill music being the ultra-violent evolution of gangster rap, with beats inspired by Atlanta trap and gritty lyrics all about real crimes that were actually...
Look at that. Rondo. Damn, bro. Everybody, bro. I said, have you ever watch an old video like something like this, a little darker than them, and you just look at it back, you can tell about so many people lost their life, or they in jail serving 25 years to life. Like, that's crazy,
happening in Chicago, with this set having some of the first pioneering drill artists, such as the rapper known as Fat Smack, who is in fact the actual cousin of the rapper Pac-Man, who hailed from the nearby Dro City hood and is generally considered to have been the original creator of the drill genre before Chief Keef made it famous.
The devil might be real or a magic mystery, but I make you disappear. Poof, history. I know you sick of me, but Mac is the antidote. So if you act fruity, I have to split your cantaloupe. Hey man, this Pac-Man, Mr. Dro City. I had, man. Hey, I tell him, the coupe looking like a Sunday, a chocolate Maserati, butter vanilla guts, valet pocketed at the party. The on my heels, she was jocking me in the lobby. See the Maury Crocodile's pocket watching like she gonna rob me. I swipe for a room, penthouse.
Either rob you or try to set you up. That's how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Y'all hear that?
W. The had your name on the neck and on my stomach too.
Already in late 2010, Fat Smack would put out a mixtape titled A Day in Drill City, this being among the first drill projects ever to come out. Drill City is also known as BNC, or Bar None Crazy, which generally refers to them being an insane or renegade gang set. This means that they generally don't adhere to any central structure of a historical gang, like the BDs or GDs, and essentially are willing to go to war with, or kill people that descended from the same original gang as them. It seems that Drill City were first cool with another set from the former Lon City called Wiz City, or Whisper City, named after a boy called Whisper, aka Wiz, who seemingly died in 2008 from medical complications. Similarly as Drill City being bar none, Wiz City would be known as Brain Dead. This generally also meaning that they are insane or renegade BDs who again don't abide by any centralized BD leadership and are willing to go to war with other BDs.
See, that's the thing is, you need leadership. You need somebody to the top. How like the military has like rankings, and you have rankings, and boom, 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 boom. That's what you need to keep this stuff together and structured and not fall apart. You know what I'm saying?
Early 2010s, Wiz City was seemingly already beefing hard with several of the former Lon City sets, including Evans Mob, Mix Mob, and 8-Tray Mob.
Hey man, so I just want to talk about that Mix Mob thing, man.
It's getting ridiculous, man. For real. On some real shit, man. That shit getting ridiculous. First of all, y'all. First of all, let me say that right there. And then y'all is here, man. You feel me? Y'all let them on this house arrest. Because if I wasn't, what's going down, man?
Who is this?
There's big drills on y'all, for real. Old 82nd movement, man. We ain't playing no games.
Boy, Drake, Weird City crazy. Brain dead, you already know 82nd crazy, boy. Got the South, A-Train Mob.
Mix Mob!
Damn.
All them, boy. We out here brain dead, crazy, boy. GDK, that fat, boy.
See this,
let's get it. Let's get it.
Meanwhile, it appears that Drill City members were originally much more open to linking up with different sets, even ones that were already at war with Wiz City, such as Evans Mob and possibly even Mix Mob, which might be why someone on Reddit presenting them as having lived in the area during the late 2000s and early 2010s describes Drill City as playing sides. Meanwhile, another Redditor claims that Wiz City was getting close with the TYMB set, which is known from the early drill culture for getting shoutouts from the likes of Chief Keef. However, Drill City was beefing with TYMB, and there are even rumors that they killed one of their most loved members in 2012, a young man known in the streets as Obama. Real name Reginald Smith, the 24-year-old was shot and killed in a walk-up style attack on the 6500 block of South Drexel Avenue. The wildest rumors even claim that this killing led to one of the Drill City members getting kidnapped by TYMB before getting released for a 10K ransom. However, the consensus among Chiracologists seems to be that Obama was more likely killed by a member from another set that would become very close with Drill City. But more about that later.
Wow.
In any case, TYMB continues to be one of Drill City's longest ops, which is at least partly why even Lil Jeff would drop a Y sometimes in his music videos and on social media. At the time though, Wiz City's alliance with TYMB would allegedly cause Drill City to separate themselves from them. And
do you see how mostly all of them are close to each other? Like, look at that. And they don't, none of these blacks, they just grew up on those type of, I feel, when I look at this type of stuff, I feel like it's like just some badass kids and just in a big ass friend group doing some dumbass shit. That's it.
ally fully with their biggest ops, the Mix Mob, instead. This alliance eventually going under the moniker DCMM, or Drill City Mix Mob, as represented by Fat Smack and another Drill City member called Leaky in their 2013 song by the same name. And they would also openly claim to be Wiz City K, and vice versa, with Wiz City members vowing to K or kill anyone from Mix Mob or Drill City. The war between all these former Lon City sets would only keep escalating in the years to come, and alliances would keep changing over time. But moving forward, Drill City would seemingly also keep certain enemies that stayed the same, such as the majority GD sets, 8-Tray Mob, Evans Mob, and Hit Squad, who have seemingly always stayed relatively united with each other, and against Drill City or BNC, as well as the Brain Dead BD set Wiz City, and another nearby Brain Dead BD set called MTV 079 or Money Through Vernon.
I heard before, like, you know, all this, like, all the violence started. I heard, like, y'all was everybody, every hood was all in one. Like, y'all used to go by Lon City or the Line. Is that true or not?
Yeah, Lon City is like the whole area.
Like from Shadow to Apple.
We is Shadow. We is Shadow.
But y'all was a part of y'all hood was a part of Lon City, right? Lon City movement.
Now, Drill City and all that shit.
You know, them the other side though now.
I ain't gonna lie.
I ain't saying how it, like, you know, how it happened, but I'll say what year would y'all say all this broke apart?
I ain't gonna lie, folks. 2009,
2009, 2010.
2010, bro. That's when really everybody like all.
It only broke down because there's no structure, y'all. That's why it broke down. That's why a lot of these people, how they used to be cool with. I'm talking about the whole thing. Like, there's no structure. There's no leader. There has to be a leader. There has to be structure. There has to be a baseline where everybody can follow and respect. That's how it keeps up. That's how all these, you know what I'm saying? That's how it works. When there's no structure, there's no leader, there's no nothing like that, it's going to fall apart, and then they're going to do what they want to do, and then it's going to be bad.
All them on the other side, they started turning video type of
you know what it is?
a bunch of weird. We was the only GDs. I ain't gonna lie, we was the only GDs. We ain't clicked with nobody, nothing.
You talking about like for 8-Tray and Evans Mob? They be saying the shorties BDs too.
Yeah, we got some BDs. For them phones, like,
I ain't gonna lie, this shit clickbait, boy.
Yeah, like, we EBK, we ain't just no everybody ain't GD. Brother BD, we family. He 8-Tray Mob, we family.
I was gonna say,
About no game.
Out of these 3 majority GD sets, Evans Mob is perhaps best known through their early 2010s connection with the infamous Washington Park-based set 600, due to 2 of their members, 600 Breezy and S-Dot, having a childhood and family connection to this set. Evans Mob is also known for a now classic moment in drill history when 2 of their members would catch infamous drill rapper Lil Reese from Lamron, aka the Grim Reaper, with this video causing the so-called Lil Reese Poopgate, as people would claim that the video showed visible skid marks on Lil Reese's underwear.
Oh, that's what it was?
Stinky conspiracy in Chicago drill that's been debated for years, and one which fans would eventually go all in on, analysing the patterns of the specific boxers that the Grim Reaper had been wearing that day to eventually debunk the theory and prove that it was all a big poopception all along, as the alleged brown stain actually turned out to just be part of the design of that particular set of boxers. But anyway, 8-Tray Mob are a lesser known set to the average drill listener, although they too would have some rappers attempting to come up in the original drill wave, with artists like Don Darius and Murder Mal dropping some early songs that would gather some decent views, such as their 2013 music video for a remix of Lil Durk's song Competition, where one 8-Tray member can be seen proudly presenting his shirt which says MTVK, BNCK, and Wiz City K. Hit Squad, on the other hand, is perhaps the smallest set out of these 3, getting its name after a man called Hits, real name Marlon Dubose, who was killed in 2010, being shot in the head and neck. These are already many sets to keep track of, but ultimately, these were just the sets from the original Lon City Hood, whilst the story of Lil Jeff also includes...
Hey, that's what I mean. Did y'all see how close they are, like, to each other? Like, am I tripping or what?
Numerous sets from nearby the original Lon City, because during the early drill era, while Lil Jeff was still just a young boy with dreams of pro basketball, his big brother Jay Boogie would jump headfirst into the streets, becoming friends with the very people that Jeff would later want to kill so bad that it ended up costing him his own life.
Damn, man. See, pro basketball. Most everybody you see probably in the streets now was good at some type of sport. Pop Smoke was good at basketball, but he had a heart problem, so he couldn't, you know what I'm saying? Most of the people you see, rappers, are usually was good at a sport. It's crazy, man.
For many fans of Lil Jeff, his big brother Jay Boogie is perhaps best known for being the profile picture on Lil Jeff's Instagram account. However, Jay Boogie is almost 5 years older than Jeff and has had a long history by himself in the streets of Chicago, his name being familiar to many of those drill fans who have followed the scene since its inception. Both Boogie and Jeff seemingly spent their early years in the far south side of Chicago in the Burnside neighborhood, more specifically in a hood called Flipside, which reps the 93rd Street, with Jeff attending the CICS Elementary School close by on the 95th Street. Boogie, who was at the time also going by the name Young Khalifa, will be close with one of the most loved members of Flipside called Tay, who would unfortunately be killed in August 2014, with Flipside starting to call their hood Tay Block in his honor. However, it seems that before Tay's death, Boogie would seemingly either move more up north, or at least begin to spend more time around the Woodlawn neighborhood, not far from Drill City's hood, with guys from a set called Chris World. Chris World is named after a 14-year-old boy called Christopher Travis, also known as Lil Chris, who was killed all the way back in 2010 by a man named Cordell Glover, known as Wheezy or Wee Wee, allegedly from the EBT set. Lil Chris was seemingly part of...
And they be so young, bro. This kid was 14 years old, bro. Like, can't even live out his life. Can't graduate high school, maybe go to, you know what I'm saying?
TYMB, and can be seen in old pictures with them. And Chris World would then begin as a faction within TYMB, or YMB, meaning Young Money Boys, as the set was known before they would eventually change their name in honor of a dead member called Ty, real name Edric Walker, who was killed a year earlier in 2009 during a particularly violent night where 4 people died in 3 shootings. But while TYMB was primarily repping the 65th Street, Chris World would begin to rep the 66th Street, which Chris had seemingly frequented, even though he would in fact live near the 64th Street. Around this time, TYMB, the newly founded Chris World, and Wick City, that would later become known as O Block, were all seemingly pretty close with each other, with their main ops being sets like STL EBT. However, this would allegedly change when Obama from TYMB was killed in March 2012, with many now seemingly thinking that his killer was a man called Kenny Mack, not to be confused with the Kenny Mack from the FBG Duck murder case, or several other Kenny Macks from different sets all over Chicago. This Kenny Mack was part of Chris World, and by all accounts, one of the central members in that faction. According to some Chiracologists, Obama's death was the result of a dice game gone bad, which would make sense given that even though witnesses would seemingly describe the killer simply walking up to Obama, he was in fact found dead in a hallway. Others have claimed that the beef between TYMB and Chris World actually goes back way before Obama's murder, with some drill fans claiming that one of TYMB's top rappers, Money Man, was in fact already dissing Chris World in a song together with Obama back in May 2011, with it being suggested that this dissing then led to Obama's death. However, in fact, Money Man appears to be shouting out Chris World just like he shouts out several other people before them, including E-Day from 600 and Boss Sean from Wick City that would later become known as O-Block, meaning that around this time, the two sets were seemingly still on good terms. But what does seem clear is that the beef between TYMB and Chris World would indeed begin even before Obama's murder. And while there's even a photo of J Boogie himself seemingly throwing up the Y in January 2012, a few months before Obama's death, while hanging with a rapper Bad Habit affiliated with Chris World, already later that same month, a girl affiliated with Chris World would make the post on Facebook saying F the other side, while dissing YMB, aka TYMB, and also shouting out 3 sets: Chris World, Trap City, and Drill City. It appears that even before Obama's murder, TYMB had been beefing particularly hard with another Woodlawn-based set, this set being called Trap City, also known as Zone 7, with the 7 representing the 67th Street that they would claim, more specifically, the intersection of 67 and Rhodes. This location is only 0.2 miles from the intersection of 67th and Langley that J Boogie would post to his Facebook in September 2012, with this being the first photo that he still has up on his page. Trap City and TYMB's beef was at this point well established, with beloved members like a 17-year-old named Rio, real name Ryan Gibson, having allegedly also been killed by TYMB in October 2011. Trap City and TYMB had also been beefing through music, such as the TYMB member B Gutter releasing a diss song towards Trap City called Gangbang 067K Diss in January 2012, a song where he dissed numerous members and ended the song with an outro, sending a clear message to both Trap City and Drill City, as well as shouting out TYMB's allies at the time, Wick City.
That's it for part 1. I'll see you guys in part 2. Part 2 will probably like maybe 50 minutes, 40 some minutes. Oh, I'm gonna see y'all, man. I'm catching on part 2. Let's go on Monday. Part two will be out Monday.